Transgender people have been fighting an ongoing battle for years. All they want is their equality. They wake up, they go out in public, they're discriminated, told they can and cannot do things, and they go to sleep that night just to do it again the next day. I never thought of this as a close-to-home problem until one of my childhood friends named Storm called me one night and told me her biggest secret, and that was that she didn't feel like a female anymore. That she was becoming transgender, and she just simply didn't feel like a female. 4 years later, I still am in contact with Storm, and I've seen firsthand the obstacles that she's had during her transition. I've had the phone calls every night where she's called me crying, saying she was bullied at school, and she wanted to kill herself because she just doesn't feel welcome in her own home. This is one of the hardest things that I've ever been through with anybody, and especially her. And when it comes down to it, this has helped me see that transgender people should not be discriminated because of their gender, their expression of their feelings, or their actions regarding their gender. However, some people don't believe this. They don't know a transgender person like I do. They don't see this side of the problem, so they simply think that it's just a cry for help and a cry for attention. Those who think this way, they only say that because they're only introduced to the media. They don't see the phone calls like I do. They don't see a crying person. They're saying that they act out simply because it's their point of view. It's all they've ever seen. They don't know any better, and it's all that they have access to in their world. One man contacted an Ask Alice sort of website, and they posted an article about it. He had asked them what to do because his 11-year-old daughter said that she wanted to become a man, and that when she was with the boys at school, she felt more like a boy. She didn't see herself acting like a girl anymore. And he had went into the details about how every night she would come home and she would ask him for gauges because a guy at school had gauges, and she thought that was a manly thing. And he had put in there something about her wanting to play boys' sports and her not wanting to play with the girls at recess, and that he was worried about his daughter, and he thought that maybe it was simply because of the divorce that him and his wife were having. And when it came down to it, he got a response back from the Alice person, and they had said that it was for attention, that it was because of the divorce and that his child was just confused, and that as an 11-year-old girl, she lacked self-confidence. And he believed that until a few months later, after many fights with his daughter, he said that it came down to the fact that he now believes that she is transgender. So something that this man didn't think about that we should is, at what point is it okay for us to tell our children and our friends that they're simply seeking attention, and that with the next phase of adolescence and a divorce being finalized, that it'll be okay? Many people think this way, and they only have the intention of judging these people because it's only for attention. They say that transgender people aren't really hurting, that they're just trying to obtain a status on social media, and that they're looking for us to be sympathetic toward them. They see them as schemers, only trying to get into our minds, just like this man did with his daughter. And they are trying to get into our minds. They do want to change how we see them, but not for the way that you may think. The transgender community is a community that is indeed truly suffering. The transgender community is a community that is full of wonderful, happy people, just like us, who just want to tell us what they believe in and why we should believe the same. The transgender community is a community that is not a harmful one. The transgender community is a community that is not an attention-seeking one. They're simply a group who wake up every day just to be put down and shut out of everything that they love. Morgan Darby, Director of Professional Development and Partnership at Gender Spectrum, says, "They always have known who they are. They're their best spokesperson for their own experience. They know what they feel. If you feel something and you tell someone, they're going to just believe you." Think of it this way. If you're a child on a playground in elementary school and you hurt yourself, you're crying, you're going to go to the nurse. She's going to console you, she's going to give you a Band-Aid, she's going to send you back to class. You need to think of it that way. way, rather than her just laughing at you saying it's for attention. When Storm came to me and told me that she was transgender, I had to make a decision. You need to put yourself in those shoes too. You need to think about what you would do if your mom, sister, brother, father, best friend, anybody came to you and told you their biggest secret. The choice for me was simple, but you need to think about what you would do.
So, do you think a girl 11 years old shouldn't be doing it for attention? Do you think she's old enough to make the decision that she wants to be a guy at 11 years old?
I mean, I could see the argument, especially with her father adding in the concept that she was having a divorce. But I think that if she'd been talking about it for such a long time and she truly didn't let it go, and he said like later on he began to believe her, that maybe, yeah, I would say she does feel like a boy and she could be starting the transition.
Do you think there should be an age requirement and certain procedures that you have to go through? So I know like with assisted suicide you have to have like a certain amount of physicians ask you a certain amount of questions and stuff like that. Do you think that should be a requirement?
Well, I know in my last speech I talked about like the actual process, and to even be able to begin hormone therapy, they have to have so many therapist meetings and meetings with doctors, and they have to be diagnosed with identification disorders and stuff like that. So in order for that to happen, they have like a team of doctors. So they would have to go into that and then have the different levels of psych evaluations. I would imagine it would be extremely hard for a child. So there would probably be some backup from the parents, but I would say probably age of consent would probably hit that on the head. Maddie?
So do you think, say we do believe that the 11-year-old really does want to be a boy, that's not just for attention, and the dad ends up agreeing like, okay, if that's really what you want, do you want that? Like if you want that, I'll get that for you. But do you personally believe like, okay, she knows she wants to be a boy, but she should go through waiting until she's age of consent?
I'm not sure, because with the hormone therapy there might be an imbalance because of her being at such a young age that there could be a conflict with that. I didn't look that much into it when I looked into the surgeries and stuff, because most of what I looked at was for adults, so I'm not sure. Colin?
What if you had a boy and when he was a teenager he wanted to be a girl?
I would support it fully.
Do you think that people are afraid to believe in this because of like religious views, or just that nobody else is really into it?
I think that like with society in a whole, it's a mix of both. Because I think, you know, everybody has their own beliefs, their own like religious system, and they believe things for reasons that are non-religious as well. So I think it's just sort of like a mix of both.
Alright.